What about any regrets over the pandemic, over the leadership, your leadership? A lot of criticism of your leadership, particularly from Republicans, but also from others as well. Any regrets about how you led that pandemic?
Oh yeah, and I keep saying I will be second guessing myself on decisions I made till the end of my life. But the thing that I can say is I didn't play politics. In each case, I did what I thought was best. And I can be second guessed, and I think that's absolutely fair, and I'll be second guessing myself. But I never did it in a way to play politics. I wanted to try to do what was best from a public health point of view, to save our healthcare system from being overwhelmed.
What particular are you second guessing?
Oh, I think I'm second guessing everything. I mean, people died during the pandemic, and you have to have regrets about that. Is there something I could have done sooner? Could we have? I mean, in hindsight,
Did we need to close the schools? Did we need to move folks from hospitals to nursing homes? Did we? I mean, there's a whole host of things.
Those are great.
You know the list.
Those are great. Those are great questions, and I keep asking those myself. Again, I think one of the things that I'm happy with is that Pennsylvania's healthcare system was never overwhelmed, but I don't think anybody can say with finality, what was the right thing to do in each of these cases. Did we do the right thing, and did we do the right thing at the right time? Did it last long enough or not long enough? I mean, I think there's a lot of. One of the things, I think we've learned some things. One of the things that was a problem, you'll recall, was personal protective equipment, masks and gowns.
Early on.
And there was a scramble between states, federal government, municipalities, schools to get this stuff, and there just wasn't any out there. So the Commonwealth now stockpiles that stuff, and if this were to happen, and we now have a routine for making sure that it's current and it's upgraded.
So we're better prepared for the next pandemic.
Yeah, and if that happens again, that's one problem we won't have. But as I say, I'll be second guessing myself for the rest of my life.
We talked a bit about the legislature and your relationship. Is there any Republican lawmaker that you particularly dislike?
I think the Republican and Democratic lawmakers there are all trying to do the right thing as they see it.
They've called you some really nasty things.
Yeah,
I know a state senator who just ran for governor basically called you a murderer.
Well, I think
this was over the nursing, just so folks are clear about the
over
context,
the nursing, yeah,
over the nursing home.
Yeah. Probably the hardest job I ever had was managing a True Value hardware store, and there were people, you'd have customers who didn't like the product you sold or the time that you had or the price or whatever, and I got called some pretty interesting names there too. So I think you sort of take it as part of the job, and the good, when all is said and done, far outweighs the stuff you have to put up with.
So you let the nasty stuff go off your back, essentially.
Yeah. I don't think anybody means it personally. I think it's part of the job, and in a democracy, people have a right to have strong opinions.
Were there any particular lawmakers that you worked with in Harrisburg that you thought were especially good, Democrat or Republican?
In various ways, most of them really enjoyed the process of sitting down and arguing. Now, I grew up in a family where we thought arguing over the dinner table was a good thing, was something that was a sign of affection. So I enjoyed the act of debating, and I think in a perfect setting, those debates can lead to better public policy. So when I got to Harrisburg, I'd been in graduate school, I studied political science, and
yeah, at MIT of all places.
Yeah,
that's the last place I think of for studying political science.
Well, I went there because I wanted to be a quant. I wanted to study the mathematics, and my dissertation actually won the National Dissertation Award for American Politics. But it wasn't that sophisticated when it came to the math. But what I liked about graduate school was being able to just arguing and debating about different topics. And here in Harrisburg, you could do that all the time. That's the job, and I really enjoyed that.
You know, you're in an unusual position, a governor who's had 8 years of experience. You've got an incoming governor from your own party. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give Governor-elect Shapiro or any governor coming into your office?
I think that, and I've already given him free advice, which is probably worth just that much, but I think there are two things that everybody in a place like Harrisburg or Washington, there are two jobs. One is to transact the people's business, and that's what people think primarily their job is. But the second job is to serve as a steward of a grand democratic tradition. And so my advice to the incoming governor, my advice to politicians in general is to do what you can to enrich that democratic process. And I think
what does that mean?
Well, there are two things in particular that I suggest. Well, and I did this in business, but we would do what are called tabletop exercises. Sort of make up a disaster and then come together as a government, all the agencies, and say, okay, how do we respond to this? And we usually did not respond in the tabletop exercises in a very good fashion, but it prompted us to think about how we should respond. And I think that continuous introspection is a good thing. The second thing is that I think we need to make sure that government at all levels actually is a learning organization. And this is true of the private sector too. Any big organization, one of the challenges they all have is ossification. So you want to have a system where everybody's learning, where you come in to a government office and you want something, and they say, our procedures are this, and that doesn't quite fit. That's not the right answer. We need to figure out, okay, we need to adapt to what you want, and we need to ask ourselves, so how do we do that? And it's not an easy thing, but it's what government needs to do. So I started a continuous improvement process, the kind of thing I'd use in my business. That's a journey, not a destination. You never get to where you want, but you're always asking yourself, you need to sort of break out of the idea that I'm rigid, I'm going to do what I've always done, and that's the way it's going to be, to you're the customer, you're the constituent, I'm serving you. How can I do this the right way, but how can I do it in a way that actually helps you?
So you actually ran through a number of scenarios over the years in which you sort of play acted if a certain kind of event or crisis occurred? And you did that a lot? Yeah,
regularly. And I did that in my company too.
Any other advice for an incoming governor?
No, those are the things that I said,
What about time management? Is that a problem? Everybody wants to see the governor of Pennsylvania.
That's a problem. But that's a problem in business too. It's a problem in life. So I think that the key thing is, if you're in this position, part of your responsibility is to make your organization work as well as it can possibly work, and never stop thinking that you could do better.
Governor, over the 8 years, you've met a lot of celebrities because they come to Pennsylvania, they meet the governor. Who was your most favorite celebrity that you met over the last 8 years?
Well, I'm a baseball fan. So
nothing wrong with that.
I have enjoyed meeting baseball players, and a number of them, of course, Pirates and Phillies are the two major league teams, but we have a number of other teams that have minor league affiliates in Pennsylvania. The Yankees have a AAA in Scranton.
Yeah, but how about outside of Pennsylvania?
Oh, outside of Pennsylvania.
Have you met
yeah.
baseball players outside of Pennsylvania?
No, baseball players.
Because obviously you can get to the Phillies and the Pirates anytime you want.
Yeah, that's what I enjoy watching baseball.
Well, how about a rock star or a movie actor or actress or somebody?
Yeah, I mean...
nobody stood out to you?
No, a bunch of them. I think Danny DeVito, I met him out at the Super Bowl when the Eagles played the New England Patriots.
Did you have a chat with him?
Yeah. And
what's he like?
He's a nice guy.
I know he's short.
Yes.
But he's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy. No, and I mean, it's been really nice to meet. 2 days ago, met with the Prime Minister of Lithuania. Pennsylvania, a lot of people don't, the National Guard actually, for the last almost 30 years, has had a relationship with Lithuania. And so I was the first governor ever to travel overseas at my own expense to visit our troops in Lithuania. And we also had troops in Poland at that time who were in exercises with a NATO force. About 400 National Guard, so I was over there and met some of the folks there. But the Prime Minister of Lithuania was great, and when I was in Lithuania, the president and a number of people there were just
But
great.
other than Danny DeVito, you haven't given me any name of any Hollywood celebrity or any other celebrity that you might have met, an author or somebody that sticks in your mind? Because surely you've met a number.
Yeah, no, they're all,
You're just not impressed with a lot of people.
You're one of the key people I met, John. I'm very impressed with that.
So, Governor, we're coming to the end. Let me just ask you, and maybe this is repetitive, but when historians write about the Wolf administration, what do you hope they write about? What is the legacy that the Wolf administration leaves behind for Pennsylvanians?
I think what I'd like us to focus on is what I think is at the heart of a functioning democratic system, and that is honesty, integrity, good policies, smart policies that actually make people's lives better, and competence. We've sort of gotten politics into this sort of inside the baseball kind of, down to little things, this moves this. And I don't think that's what people out there are looking for. And I think what politicians in our system need to prove to the voters is that we can deliver an honest system that actually implements policies that actually make your life better, and that we're doing it in a very competent, fiscally responsible way.
In just a few weeks, you are retired.
Yes.
I know that many of us first recognized you on television because of a certain vehicle you had.
Yes.
Your Jeep.
Yes.
Have you been allowed to drive your Jeep as governor? Do you get a chance to do that? Is that something you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Actually, I bought a new one, but I still have the old one, and it's in the garage right now. And I would like it to be. I drove right up until the pandemic, and then I, was either.
I think you told me at one time the state police didn't want you to drive. They
No.
preferred to drive you.
Yeah, there's sort of an insurance issue, and I hope it was that. Or they looked at me driving.
I was going to say, maybe they didn't think you were the greatest driver.
That could be too. But the original Jeep, I want to make sure that it's back on the road as quickly as possible. And so talked to the mechanic just the other day, and she said it's on its way.
Great. Any other retirement plans?
Yes. Very specific plans: reading, eating, sleeping, and traveling, and visiting my grandchildren. My wife and I have been married almost 50 years now, and we plan to spend a lot more time with our grandchildren.
So in the end, you're just going to be like any other retiree.
I hope so, yes. I'm 74 years old. It's time to
You're allowed.
retire. I'm allowed,
You're
yes.
allowed.
I think I'm allowed.
Can we come visit you in Mount Wolf?
Absolutely.
Good. Well, we'll do that.
Okay.
Governor Tom Wolf, a great pleasure to be
Thanks,
with you,
John.
sir. Thank you very much for your service to Pennsylvania and for the chance to talk to you today.
Thank you for having me.